It's Offside with Hawes and McGuire.
Not bad.
That was pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Welcome to Offside with Hawes and McGuire. I'm Hawes.
I'm McGuire.
All right, this is it's Christmas time.
Yeah.
It's Christmas time. Coming up to
close.
Christmas time. 2 weeks to Christmas, and we've got a lot of hockey.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that. We got a lot of hockey though.
Lot
before Christmas, which Christmas is a big cutoff point because to me it's the World Juniors.
Yeah.
And the NHL kind of takes a back seat during that between Christmas and New Year's.
Because of the World Juniors?
Because of the World Juniors.
Well,
in my opinion, anyway.
When it's being played in North America for sure, and the games are running at
night times.
Night times, and we'd see it at least in Canada. TSN has the rights for the World Juniors. They still have NHL club rights, but Sportsnet Rogers has the big package. But yeah, you're right. This year in Sweden, the games are going to be earlier in the day, Chris. It just leads just perfectly into day drinking.
Well, if there's got to be something that good we can take from this.
Well, this is what I said years ago.
It's that's.
Well, thank you, World Juniors.
You got to pick up the positives.
Well,
That's what it is.
That's the way I look at things.
So listen, I was watching the Ottawa-Detroit game. We're going to talk about this.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Did you see the game live?
No.
Okay, so I was watching the game.
Yeah.
And it was actually scary how it happened.
Yeah.
Because you didn't really see anything that looked odd.
Yeah.
It was just a regular kind of scrum, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Larkin goes like
He was out cold before he hit the ice.
yeah, and he's dead, like out, done, like
I'm
just
glad
like
you
a
brought it
rag
up
doll.
because I was going to ask you.
Yeah. What?
Well, are we getting into it right now?
Yeah, we'll get into it right now.
Okay, because obviously we're taping here today on Monday. The hearing, I believe, is today for
That's
David
right.
Perron, who ran Zub inexplicably. He just thought Zub was
He thought
responsible,
because
obviously.
Zub was on top of him.
Yeah.
Zub kind of fell over him. Okay, and so he retaliated. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I would have done the exact same thing. Like, you know what? He was protecting his guy who went down, and your first reaction.
No, I shouldn't say inexplicably. I understand why. I know why. He made a mistake.
He made a mistake.
He made a mistake.
And I'll bet you he called Zub after and said, "Hey, man, I'm sorry I did that."
He probably did because
nobody did anything to him.
No.
Okay?
Yeah.
And Zub, you know what I mean? And listen, everybody understands that he was there to protect. Honestly, otherwise they would have taken some sort of, retribution against him for going after Zub. But Zub's, not only is Zub a class act, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, now you got two bodies on the ice, so I think everyone took a break and said, "How many stretchers we got?" I mean, it was pretty chaotic. But what I was going to ask you, as a guy who still plays, I don't play anymore. Just a little pickup if it's available outdoors, and so I don't play. You're still playing.
Yeah.
What do you think happened to Larkin? He was out cold. Joseph got a major.
Right.
Then they rescinded it to a minor.
No. You know what? No. Joseph didn't get the major, and this is what they did on the play. And the only reason that
I thought he did.
No, he didn't. So they said it's going to be a major penalty, so they could review it. But what they did
That's my
was
point.
but they said that the major penalty, was on the hit of Zub. So they knew that they were going to go after them as a major penalty.
No,
that made the whole thing reviewable. Because without giving a major penalty and no one saw what was going on, they couldn't review it. I'm telling you, it was a very smart move by the referees.
I think you got it just a tad wrong. Joseph was assessed a major, and it was reviewed because you're allowed to review the major.
Right, the majors.
Perron got a match.
He got a match.
There was no review on his.
Right.
He got a match, automatic ejection, and obviously now he's going to get suspended. He's got
you know what? I don't think so. You know what? I'll tell you something.
Easily going to get suspended. Easily. He's got an in-person hearing, Chris.
I know he's got an in-person. You know what? Which is, honestly, like that. I think that's a load of crap. Because honestly, what he did, he got up high and he did the same thing that he thought was done to his player. Right?
Doesn't matter. It doesn't excuse him doing it.
It doesn't excuse it. Well, you know what?
No.
I don't know.
I'm the most violent guy you probably know. And I'm telling you, it does. Like, I got no problem with the guy thinking he's sticking up for his teammate.
Right.
But, it's the same thing when we get around to discussing Goodbradson. I got no problem with what he did on Cousins. But you got to pay the piper. you're going to get suspended. It's a couple games probably Eric's going to get. And I think Perron's going to get 5 or 4 anyway.
Yeah,
I think he's going to get 4. Look at the guy. Look at McAvoy got 4. Anderson got 4. These guys, there's already, no one understands how Trouba didn't get anything on Trent Frederick. That's the most bizarre thing. He got a $5,000 fine.
Listen, and how did, and I don't want to.
Well, look who the Department of Player Safety is. George Peros.
Okay.
Yes, he's a university-educated man who played as an enforcer in the NHL.
Yeah. So, but here's the thing. I don't think that there's uniformity in the officiating across the board and in what goes out there. Because I'll tell you something. And I hate to jump ahead because we were going to talk, but we might. It all blends together, right?
Potpourri.
Okay, potpourri, exactly.
Potpourri, yeah.
Potpourri.
Yeah.
It's like a Jeopardy category.
Right.
Also, something you put on the stove to make the house smell good.
There you go.
But Cousins, that hit on Gabranson, he like, you know what? He fucking knew he was going on his numbers. Like there was no and he threw the ass. Like it was as he went by, he did the little ass like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you get that extra little oomph with the hit.
Yeah.
As you turn so that you can roll off of it as well. He did that on purpose. He should have that should have been he should have been ejected from the game. That was a hit from behind and with certain intent. Now I don't know their history because they used to play together, right?
They have a history. They do have a history,
and not a good one.
Not a good one. Yeah, they've had some incidents. I'm not saying it's like some of the others in NHL history, but Matt Cook could pick 1,000 guys. Yeah, but that sometimes doesn't matter. Right?
No, I know that, but maybe it happened while they were playing together.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything off ice. I don't believe.
Maybe you know what? What I think is it's possible Gabranson nailed Cousins' wife, right? And Cousins is all, and he started this whole thing, and now or vice versa.
I don't think so.
We got to start more rumors.
Yeah, I know. We got to get ahead of the Hockey Insider. Eric's an Ottawa guy.
He's an Ottawa guy, Cumberland,
by the way. Yeah. And his dad Wayne, I'm acquaintances with, and his brother,
younger brother,
Alex, plays for the North Dundas Rockets, who are the defending champs in the local senior circuit here.
Yeah.
He's a hell of a player. At least I think he's still on the team. I believe he is. Anyway, point is that I was under the impression Joseph got 5, reviewed, reduced to 2. They didn't give Kelly anything. My question to you, going right back to the start, is this guy who's still playing like you are, what the hell do you think happened to Larkin?
Okay.
How did he get knocked out? It had to be the contact from Joseph.
Well, that's what I think. Okay.
Had to be, right?
That's in my opinion. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay. And I can tell you something. Those cross checks to the back of the head. Yeah. And I still take them, because and there's a guy in our over 50 league.
Yeah.
Okay. And everybody says he's an idiot for doing this, but he's constantly with the cross checks really hard. And it's like we're all old, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, but he that went, and I think it really caught him right underneath the skull.
Well, it had to have.
Yeah.
Because he was out cold before he hit the ice.
Yeah, he caught him underneath, and then he went forward. And I think the Kelly, also hit him. Yeah. But I don't think that was,
as part of it all.
I think he was already done before that happened.
Well, they lose Larkin and obviously Perron, and they mailed it in. Plus, Lyon couldn't stop a beach ball from center ice and net. I laugh when people go on social media and a clip comes from the 1980s and Gretzky's or the 1970s, and goals are being scored on Hall of Fame goalies in a lot of cases. Go look at the shit goaltending, this, that, and everything else. Look at Lyon on Saturday. Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah.
Two of those goals, the power play goals, they're brutal. Tarasenko's goal was terrible, Chris.
No. You know what? Here's the thing. I like the
went right through him, here.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and the Tarasenko goal was an interesting aberration, because the pass from, and I don't know who passed it. I think it might have been Zub who passed it.
Might have been. It was a nice cross ice pass.
It was No, it was weak.
It?
He fanned on it.
Did he fan on it?
He fanned on it, and it ended up going really slow. Kind of off speed, so that it kind of froze people.
Well, Drew passed one of them, and I thought he did, and he scored too.
The one to Tarasenko was, and so then Tarasenko had to readjusted, but as a result, got a hold of it. But the goaltender had been set, and then it
No,
it
that
didn't show.
that can't go in.
You know what?
That can't go in.
We've seen it all happen before. But
Well,
it
no,
did.
I understand that, but Lyon was horrible. He was horrible, and they lost 2 players on the same play. Great, look,
Yeah.
they won 5-1. They needed it.
Yeah, we
They've
did.
won 3 out of 4. You're scrambling here. You're 11 points out, or so you got 9,000 games in hand.
Ottawa played really well defensively. I'll
Yeah.
tell you, the things that they were doing right in that game were a lot of the things that they do wrong in other games. They were getting that, they were clearing that puck out from in front of the net. They were getting it out of the zone. Okay, they weren't getting bogged down by just chipping it up to the defenseman to keep it back in again.
Yeah.
So they were getting it out. They were doing those things. I'm not saying it's coincidental that Jacques Martin had joined the team. Okay, but you know what?
A little early.
Hey,
A little early.
it doesn't take a lot. He could come in there and say, "Listen, guys, this is what we're doing wrong. Work on this."
Yeah, maybe you're right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe
And
you're right.
not to mention, Jacques Martin sitting on top is a bit of a message saying, "Guys, listen."
Well, there's no doubt.
You know what?
He's a vulture up there.
Well, he's
right, just waiting to pick on DJ's carcass. If there's a blip, let's be honest. If something happens here, it's just the pressure now with these games. And hey, it doesn't matter. They've won 3 out of 4. Everyone knows what they have to do. So at the end of the day, online, I know Detroit fans were screaming about Joseph, but I was curious what your thoughts were and how it had to have been the initial contact.
Yeah, it was definitely that, and it caught him right underneath
Anybody
the
who's
skull.
ever taken a shot from behind, and anyone who's played hockey probably has at some point or another.
Oh, yeah.
And 2 things. One, you're right to your point. It is, depending on where you get caught, you can, like everything kind of buzzes for a second or whatever. The other thing that you really are is you're incensed. You are aren't you? I mean,
well, you know what?
You're incensed. For 30 seconds, I can understand how you'd want to cause grievous harm in hockey because
that's right. Well, that's why I'm saying Perron didn't do anything that I wouldn't do.
I know, but he's got to pay for it. You don't think he's going to get even 1 game?
He already got the game. He was gone.
Okay, but you think they're calling him for an in-person and they're not going to give him any games?
I think they want to hear his explanation.
What's he going to say? I thought it was Zub. So I got up and I drilled him in the head.
Well, exactly.
Well, it wasn't Zub. Now you know that, so I'm sorry. But that's an egregious act. You got a match, well-deserved, well-called, and you got to get a couple games. Maybe he's not going to get the full 5, which you're supposed to get, or not supposed to, where you could get for an in-person hearing. And I don't believe, I did a quick check on his record today, and I don't believe he's ever been suspended.
Yeah, you see, listen, I don't know. To me, again,
I think he's getting 4, Chris, because of what we've seen already this year.
And you're probably right.
That's
I think that's wrong. But I don't say that he shouldn't get something, and maybe but at the end of the day, you got to have if the refs are not going to be able to police this, which they're not.
They're not. The refs, you touched on it just 5 minutes ago. Like it's ever since they went to the full-time 2-referee system back in 01 or 02, whatever it was. They did the trial run, remember, for a couple of years. Then they rubber stamped it, brought them all in. So now they've had a couple decades worth to roll these guys in. So at least they've got the tenure, allegedly, in the American Hockey League or whatever. But the officiating, I think, across sports, I don't think there's ever been. It's a tough job.
Oh, absolutely. No question. But you know what? I use the example of the Cousins Gabranson hit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's go there.
That should have been, a major penalty. In my opinion, that was a blatant, bad call.
I have to agree.
Okay?
I have to agree.
And so it forces Gabranson to then go saying, well, I am going out there to exact the revenge.
Yeah.
And because this guy fucking tried to this guy tried to hurt me. So because that was the one thing when you have Perron, he was reacting. Okay, it was out of anger. It was out of that. It was not. You know what? You can call it intent to injure because that's what they gave him the penalty for. But at the end of the day, it was not. It was a reaction. Okay, and reactions, while not being justified, can be explained. But when you deliberately go in and you freaking hit a guy on the numbers like he did with the knowledge and did the spin while he hit it, like that was the thing. He knew damn well he was hitting him like that. That is intent to injure. That's the bigger call right there over that. So Gabranson, the fact that the fact that Cousins turtled,
Well, he made the right play. What's he going to do? He's not going to. He's not going to fight with Branson.
No, but you know what? I got to tell you, I think Branson did what I would have done or what anybody would have done in that same circumstance.
100%. I have zero problem with what Branson did in the retaliation. I mean, you're hurting your team, but you're 9 million points 9 million points out. You're not making anything, and you can't. And he's what? He's 35, 4.
He's that old now?
I think so. He's up there, man. Maybe 12 and 18, 30, early 30s anyway. He's up in his early 30s. He's bounced around. He's been on a lot of teams, but he's been sought after too on a lot of teams for stability.
You know he's a good goal.
He was here in Ottawa. He was in and out. He was here. He's played for like 8 teams. But I have no problem with what he did. And I agree with you. And of course, Columbus is Pascal Vincent, the coach, all the team. They all feel the same way. Call the major, on Cousins originally, and you don't have this.
Yeah.
You don't have this. But you don't, so the players are going to take it in. Now, not everybody will, and I think more should. A lot of teams don't have guys, or a lot of teams don't have players that would get hit like that, would go back after. Look who it was. Derek Goodbranson's not going to take any shit.
No, well, and you know what?
You're coming after me, I'm good to go. He'd fight anybody. He'd fight Ryan Reeves. He'd fight anybody. But regardless.
So I you know what? We differ on, well, actually, I shouldn't say we don't differ on it. I think we agree, certainly on the Goodbranson thing.
Yeah.
On the Perron thing, I think you think that he's going to get a bigger suspension than I think.
Okay.
And you're probably right. I'm going to say that, okay? But I completely think that his reaction was just that. And that explains a lot. And I don't believe...
So you think he should be exonerated
because it was not an intent to injure. It was an intent to start a scrap. To retaliate for the guy, but it was not. I don't think it was an intent to injure. It just happened that that's what he did. Like in my opinion, because nobody's more of a hothead. No one's more of a hothead than me.
Yeah,
right.
Totally agree.
And I would have fucking done the same thing and tried to start. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. Like
I would have too.
Yeah.
Well, I had my incidents on the ice too. However, you cross-check a guy in the head with the velocity and veracity that he did.
Yeah.
You need to be suspended. I don't care if it's justified or not.
So let's go back then. Do we suspend Joseph? Who
Therein lies the rub.
Right.
This is the thing. There's been nothing said about
Joseph's hit. That was a vicious cross-check from the back of the head. Okay, and here's the thing. I don't know why people haven't learned this. Like, I don't have a stick. But one of the things, if you're going to get somebody, you want to move them out from in front of the net. You know what the best thing is? Okay, on the back.
Yeah.
Okay, you got your stick. It's a bit of a butt end, but it's not.
Yeah.
Okay, it's the glove on the back.
Yeah.
And the twist.
You've got the leverage.
You've got
it's
the
a good
leverage
push with the glove.
And you know what? You move them a lot more than this does. This you get a big impact and it's over a broad area with the glove. So that's what you do. Like, honestly, people don't even understand. They don't even teach guys that so much anymore. It's that you got the end of the stick and it's not a penalty because it's not a cross check.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And it's you're using the end of your stick, but it's not a butt end. It's a great way to move guys. That was just Joseph was a little. What do you call that? Rambunctious or whatever, and he did that. And I don't think he meant to hurt the guy.
I don't think Joseph had any intent at all.
No, exactly.
In
but
my
it's
opinion.
still
it resulted in that. But
right.
I think the confusion of it all, because Kelly was right there, and the immediacy, and the officials aren't going to the box.
But Kelly did the same thing. Kelly went.
Well,
for the
it looked
head
like
too.
he did. I watched it 20 times on replay, and I knew, obviously we were going to talk about it today, trying to determine exactly. It had to be the contact from Joseph that caused Larkin's
that
distress.
was it, for sure.
There's no doubt about it. Kelly arrives on the scene a split second later. He's in the front. Doesn't really look like his impact had anything really to do with it. But at the end of the day, then, that makes Joseph culpable. But on the review, it's really difficult to see that there was, like, he's not like Perron getting up on Zub, came clean across with a stick, a cross check right to the head. That was different a lot than what Joseph did. Mm-hmm. So this is why I think they're not calling Joseph on the red carpet today, and they're calling Perron.
Yeah.
I mean, And I think Detroit fans are up in arms with that, saying, well, how the hell did Larkin get knocked out then?
Yeah.
So clearly it was your guy. So let's go.
Yeah.
But the NHL aren't. So I don't know. I don't know. Is that right? Is that wrong? Is that, it's a bit of a gray area there, because it just doesn't look like Joseph did much, yet he had to have, because look at the result.
Yeah.
So do you call him in and say, well, you know what, Nadia, it looks like for sure your contact is the one that caused him to go unconscious. It was from behind. It was to the head area. We got to give you a couple games.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that that would be the right thing for the NHL to do. But you know what? I say this, I'm going to end it on this, and it's going to be a good lead-in to the next thing. Okay? Is that I don't think that there's enough respect for player safety like there used to be. Now, we talked about this at the beginning of the season. Sorry, I digress, but I want to point it out. Fighting's up. Yeah. Again. So fighting's up. So remember I said I think fighting's up? You said, I don't know. But it's fighting. The stats came out. Yeah. Fighting's up. Yeah. Okay? So obviously the players are needing to correct behavior on their own, okay, for some reason. They feel
and the
that.
Spontaneity of
right.
of scraps are still happening. It's
But the fighting majors are up, and all that is happening because I think that there's a lot less. I'm gonna say, like, and when I say respect for each other's play, like each player for their safety throughout this, I think there's a lot more cheap shots. And now, am I wrong? Am I reading that wrong?
You know what? This is something that's been discussed for a long time. Like, really, it has in terms of quote unquote the lack of respect. Yeah. In today's game, and when I say today's game, this started really to become a thing really in the 2000s, I feel, where it became part of almost any of the discussions about violence in hockey, that there's a higher lack of respect today. And then people would show clips from back in the day of some of the craziest shit that went on.
Well, just yesterday, somebody posted, I guess it was the anniversary of the John Ferguson stick fight.
Oh, with Gary Bergman. The first triple minor in NHL history.
Yeah,
that's what that was.
And now, was that Bergman was with St. Louis at the time?
No, he was with Detroit.
Oh, Detroit.
He was with Detroit, and Fergie, of course, was with Montreal. And they should have dropped the sticks and went at it, but it started with Fergie running them. So I think he got the charge and the cross check and then the high stick or some combination thereof. Bergie got a double minor, Fergie got a triple. And ironically, and this was like in 1966, first triple minor, and the NHL started in 1917. It's hard to believe when you think some of the psychos that played in the 20s, but they just, they used to just get automatic matches and attempted kills and stuff. So, it was the triple minors. By the time it was a triple minor in the 1920s, the guy was in the hospital for like 6 months. It was a much more violent time.
It was a blood sport.
It really was. Yeah, it was so violent in the 20s, people just have no idea. However, today, lack of respect. What I think you have going on, and I heard it talked a lot on the weekend because these incidents happened in the span of 24 hours here. Yeah. You've got, I'm going to highlight the guy who said it. It was Craig Button. Okay. And he made a good comment. He's been around hockey his whole life. His dad was one of the most revered scouts in hockey history, his late father, Jack. And Craig said, look, these was somebody else too. So they said, because the guys aren't hitting. You coached your son. Yeah. I coached my son. Very fortunate that my son, even though he played a number of levels below the level Evan played. It doesn't matter the level. It doesn't matter because of this. Because my son was able to play contact hockey. Yeah. He was able to play contact hockey, and I'm so thankful for that, because non-contact hockey, when you're 8 or 10 or 12 or 14 and you can't hit, and it's inherent in you as a collision sport to either, you got to learn how to defend yourself, and you have to learn how to take bodies off pucks. Very difficult to do when you can't hit. Now you can't hit till you're 13, 14. I don't know, they keep moving it up. And the point that's was made on the weekend is that these guys aren't learning how to position themselves to take hits, because they're starting to play hockey at 4 and 5. So they've got 9 years in, most of it at some level, high level of competitive minor hockey. Right. And then boom, okay, you can hit. And they're like Secretariat coming out of Belmont, Yeah. And they just go frothing right on. Let's go kill. And you go out, but you haven't learned how to take a hit.
Well, you know
so
what?
guys are turned. Their positioning is wrong. They don't know how to take. They don't know how to receive. They don't know how to respond when they get hit. When they get hit with a good hit, you get up, you want to fight.
Yeah.
All of these things contribute to the game we see today. And as a result, we see and we say, it's been said, well, it's a lack of respect.
Well,
But it's not only...
So you're saying it's not a lack of respect, it's a lack of education.
Lack of education
Right.
more than lack of respect.
Yeah. And you're probably right in that.
opinion.
I mean, you know what? You talk about learning how to take a hit, right? But you also have to learn how to give a hit.
Yes.
Well, you want to hit guys, and you want to make an impact. Like, I don't care what anybody says, you know what I mean? And I know we have our, our Scott Stevens of the world. And we have that. Okay.
Yeah.
But you know what? Everybody loves a good hit. A nice, big, clean check that you look at.
98% of us.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Couple
clean check.
bleeding hearts on social media.
And you know what? It makes it really creates room on the ice for you to play.
It can be a game changer.
Absolutely. You know what? I can tell you that. I mean, when you go out there and you you run into a tree. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I can only imagine what it was like playing against Larry Robinson, because that's like, he was like an oak tree, right?
Gary Dornhoefer.
Okay. But
The most famous hits in hockey history.
But one of the things that, I've played against guys who were as big and strong as they come.
Yeah.
And I I'm a dipsy doodler, right? You get knocked on your ass a few times, guess what? You're taking the wide way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You may pass it.
Exactly. You change your game, which is great. But these guys they're not having to do that. And so, but then when the guys go to give the hit, they're not accustomed to that hip. Like, you don't see a lot of hip checks anymore.
No.
You don't see, and in my day, that was the big hit, right? Like, you would get those guys, so you'd slide that hip out. And all that being said is, I think that there's education that can be learned on all sides. Maybe it's not a lack of respect, but maybe it's a lack of understanding of what the impact of how they're hitting it has on the.
That's what I
players.
think it is.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I think it is.
Yeah.
I don't think we've breed, that's been bred into the last couple of generations of players to not respect your opponent. It's education to me.
Well, you know what? You may be right. Now, using that as a jumping off point.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to do our Zamboni boy in Puck Bunny.
He was a skater boy. She said, see you later, boy. He wasn't good enough for her.
This week, we're starting with Zamboni boy first.
Oh, you switched it up.
Well, you know why I'm switching it up? Because of what we were just talking about. So, we were talking about respect. You know who gets no respect?
Oh, Rodney?
No respect at all.
No way.
I get no respect at all. I tell you know what? I'm all right now, but last week I was in rough shape. So love Rodney.
Love
okay?
Rodney.
Rodney Dangerfield.
Great pick.
Okay, it's great, isn't it? A great
Yeah,
pick.
it's a great
I
pick.
love Rodney. Shaped a lot of my pre-career in comedy.
Really?
In high school, I used to hang out by the locker bays with the guys. Okay, and I do Rodney. Because people didn't even know Rodney, but this is early 80s, right? Like late 70s, early 80s. They didn't really know Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah.
He wasn't the star that he was. Caddyshack had come out, but he was a peripheral guy. He hadn't come out with his other, so he wasn't as on top, right?
Well, unless you got the American stations and could see him on Johnny Carson or something.
Well, exactly. Well, and we did. Like, I watched, that's why, and so I loved, and I knew his act. And that was the thing. One of the, when you go through high school and you have that butting of the heads with your dad, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you don't get along about just about anything, and you don't agree and all this stuff. The one thing that we actually had together is we had Rodney. You know what I mean? And that was how he would kind of communicate with me in that way. You know what I mean? And I remember he bought me a Rodney cassette.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah, and he brought home a VCR one time from National Video. You rented one to watch those fights.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Hockey
so he
fights,
brought that
VCR.
And so, VCR. And so he, it's the Rodney thing. And so Rodney Dangerfield, not even his real name. You know that, eh?
No, I don't.
Yeah, Rodney Dangerfield, not his real name. And he actually has his legal name.
Yeah.
Is Jack Roy.
Wow.
Right, but that's even not his real name.
Oh.
That was his first stage name.
Oh.
Okay, so he started out. He was born, Jack.
Yeah.
Okay, Jacob Rodney
Okay.
Cohen.
Okay.
Okay. And then, but he was going into show business, and you didn't want to be Jewish starting out in show business in the early years.
Right.
So he changed his name to Jack Roy.
Okay.
Legally changed his name to Jack Roy. He was Jack Roy, and got that was how he was. Anyways, he didn't do well initially, and he left in like 1960, let's say.
Okay.
Entertainment, and went and he sold aluminum siding and paint, and was a sales guy.
Wow.
Okay. And then he started doing, but he was always writing all the time throughout. And then he started doing comedy again, and he didn't want to do it as Jack Roy because Jack Roy was a hack.
Right.
Okay. So he anyways, he chose the name. There's a funny story about that, but I don't know it well enough to tell it accurately. So, anyways, he decided he was going to become Rodney Dangerfield, and he started doing this. So one time, Rodney is selling siding to this family while his Tonight Show episode, because the Tonight Show at the time was filmed in New York. Okay. All right. So
with Johnny Carson.
That's right, with Carson.
Yeah.
So it was filmed in New York, and he was on the Tonight Show the night before, but it used to air the next day.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he was selling insurance to these people, and he's actually on their television.
No way.
Okay. And the guy goes, "Is that you on the television?" Oh yeah, So very, an interesting anecdote, but and then he became probably one of the most nurturing mentors in comedy to so many comics moving up, and he was great. And so Rodney Dangerfield, king of the great lines,
great delivery. His whole thing was so specific to him.
Well, because it was the fact that he did initially. He goes, well, and it was a throw off. He says, "I tell you, I got no respect," and then people responded. He goes, and then all of a sudden everything became about that. You know what I mean? And
everything was the worst, and then he would say why
exactly
in comedic fashion. Those movies, well, Caddyshack is iconic, and they're all the actors in it.
Yeah,
they did a fantastic job. But his role is
it was over the top.
Is just amazing, and
that he didn't
back
even
to school.
When he went in there, he'd never had any experience in film, right? So they'd say action, and he wouldn't do anything. And no, you got to do your thing. Oh, I do my thing now? Okay. And then, so he came in, and he and so finally, Harold Ramis, who was directing it, said, "Okay, Rodney, not instead of action or anything like that. Okay, you start your thing." And he had started the cameras rolling, and he had to edit it, And so then Rodney did this, "Hey, I'm browsing," you know what I mean? Love.
Let's dance. He throws some money at the band. Come on, liven it up or whatever. And then he grabs Ted Knight's wife there. There's so many scenes. Just so many. Look at Chevy Chase, Bill Murray, and Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh yeah.
In the same movie.
Yeah.
Hard to believe, really. Yeah. Think about it. And then specific to golf, of all things.
Well, big fans, right?
I guess that's right. Yeah.
That was the thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, absolutely. And
and Ted Knight, for God's sake.
And Ted Knight, he was. You know what? Ted Knight, Ted Baxter.
Yeah.
Lou.
Yeah.
You know what? Ted Knight was he could have been. I asked Chris that I said, who should we have as the Zamboni boy? And she goes, I don't know. I said, well, who do you think is Sally? Who would you want to sleep with? And she goes, oh, the neighbor. No, not the neighbor.
Right. Yeah.
No. But we chose Rodney Dangerfield. So
perfect.
You know what?
Love it.
You know who gets respect? Is Rodney gets respect.
Rodney gets respect.
He's our Zamboni boy of the week.
I really, 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 really like girls. Yeah, I really, 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 really like girls. I like girls. I like girls. I like girls.
And now, the Puck Bunny of the week.
Puck Bunny of the week.
I chose the Puck Bunny of the week, and it's one person but two characters almost. Okay. I chose it because of a recommendation. So we had the party. Someone who came to the party, a lady.
Yeah.
Okay. Who I obviously I know well. Okay. She says, "I love your Puck Bunny thing. It's so great." She's going on. You know who you should have as a Puck Bunny? And I said, "Who's that?" And she says, "Jessica Rabbit."
Oh wow.
And I thought,
Really?
And she goes, yeah, because she's a bunny too. She's a rabbit.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, so our Puck Bunny for this week is Jessica Rabbit. But
Nice.
not just Jessica Rabbit, because Jessica Rabbit was voiced by Kathleen Turner.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Romancing the Bone.
Yeah.
Or Stone.
So, yes.
Romancing the Stone.
Nice slip of
Kathleen
your
Turner.
tongue.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was so and you know, both
Gorgeous.
sultry,
Yeah.
that voice, the
Yeah.
huskiness behind it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then Jessica Rabbit. Well, I was like when that movie came out, that was a, you know what I mean? And then Bob Hoskins falls in love with the character.
I
you know
never
what mean?
watched it. The Jessica Rabbit movie.
Really?
No, I never seen it. No.
Oh,
But
it's good, actually.
Kathleen Turner, I'm a big fan of though.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen her stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, she's a very attractive lady. She was one of the sexiest in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would,
absolutely.
I would.
You know what I
agree.
mean?
Yeah.
And had that, but she had you know, it's interesting.
Oh, I thought her and Sybil Shepherd were sort of similar.
You know what they were? Actually, yeah, you're right. Sybil Shepherd was pretty
Like in a
pretty
sultry
hot.
sort of way.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, demure, I think is the word.
Yeah, that's
Would
good.
that be the word?
Yeah, it works for me.
And I've been reading.
Good, man. I'm wearing off on this
Yeah,
guy.
absolutely. It's you know what? Here's the thing. Liam thought Demure was a defenseman for the
Colorado Rockies in
That's right.
77. Tom Demure. Oh, it was Tom Eager. Yeah, it's close.
All right. Well, anyways, we're cutting this short because we don't want to get graphic about that. But if you get a chance, you know what? Have you seen the Romancing the Stone movies?
Well, is there more than one?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
There's the Jewel and Nile and Romancing the Stone.
Oh,
and
I
there's
just saw the original.
Oh, you know what? Great movies.
Yeah.
Danny DeVito's in them.
Oh,
Danny DeVito
I'm
plays
a big
this
fan
great
of him.
Yeah,
Big
you
fan.
know what? He was great in those. They're
Yeah.
great, and it's Christmas time. So over the time when you you have people over, what you're looking for movies to watch. I find there's a lot of shit out there, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of shit. This stuff is still holds as great.
I got to
movies.
catch up on Shoresy, and
Yeah.
and I'm a season behind in Letterkenny.
Shoresy's
So,
filmed in Sudbury. Eh?
That's right.
Yeah.
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 It's up there with my buddy Terry Ryan and Teddy Nolan's sons. I think are still involved in this. Anyway, Letterkenny, they're just doing the last season, and so that's my Christmas viewing.
That's your Christmas
Yeah.
viewing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I get a lot of comments from people about Letterkenny and Shoresy,
Yeah.
and how come you're not in Shoresy?
Yeah.
He goes, you're from
could be.
Sudbury. You're
Yeah.
you're a personality, and that's what I want to know. It's because they don't want an old
Jared.
I exactly. He's not young, eh? But he's in great shape.
Yeah, he
know
looks
what I
in
mean?
good shape.
He
and,
is in great shape.
I saw the news on him last week. He just signed a big deal.
Did he?
Yeah, a big deal. So they're going to continue to promote or develop
Right.
his projects, which are in and around along the same sort of line
Well,
as Letterkenny and Shoresy. Type
however
stuff,
it
so.
is, listen, he played Grapes.
Yeah, he did.
In that movie,
yeah,
he
in
did a
both,
great job.
in both movies.
Yeah.
That was on Don Cherry. He played him, and he did outstanding.
Yeah,
he did
I know.
outstanding.
And I mean, aside from everything,
Keep
and
your head up.
he's a talented young man.
Yeah.
I say young, but he's not that young. He's younger than me, but
Yeah.
talented guy, and I think it's great. I like to see.
So do
I
I.
like to see the success. That's for sure.
So do I. I'd like
Yeah.
to meet him. I'd like to meet
Yeah.
him someday.
Oh, we can arrange that. I know people who
Well,
like.
Terry Ryan, my buddy's up there. I mean, I was this close. I was going to try and make arrangements. It's so busy, as you know, so much stuff going on. For me.
I can't even. I have a hard time getting up to Sudbury.
And you're from there.
And I'm from there. And
Yeah.
that's, it's just that it's a couple of days because there's no direct flights.
No,
You
you got to
wanna
go to Toronto, right?
You got to go through Toronto, and you
Yeah.
go through Toronto. First of all, you go to Toronto. They got to lose your bags. Then you got to wait. You got to wait till you can get on and then driving Highway 17 cost me as much as a flight because I always get a ticket at Mattawa, fucking OPP. Okay, not that I have a lot of respect for
Slow
OPP.
down, man.
No,
you can't
it's-
go more than 20 clicks over the limit.
No, listen.
You
There's no
can't.
one on the road. It's
Doesn't
what's with
matter.
between Mattawa and North Bay. That's what I want to know. Why can't I drive what I want to do between that stretch? It's crazy. It's unbelievable.
Well, it's not the Autobahn.
As a matter of fact, it should be though.
Well,
it's what? It's actually that stretch. By the way, is probably some of the most beautiful scenery
Yeah.
in all of Canada.
See,
and I've been everywhere. We don't. It's like it's.
Have you ever gone the other
it's
way in the
hilly.
Mattawa cutoff?
I've gone the other way.
Going to Temiskaming?
Okay.
Yeah,
Going
I've gone the other
going
way.
up north. It's I it was in college. I was experimenting. No, I haven't done that. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I don't want to, I'm not trying to be phobic or anything. No, I've taken, but that's past. You got to go past to go up to Temiskaming.
Well,
Yeah,
the Mattawa to North Bay, you're going like
right.
Yeah.
Or then you got to turn there.
Yeah,
Like,
or you take the cutoff to go to Temiskaming. It's just the opposite way.
on this side of it then.
Well, it'll run you up to the highway that if you're going from Temiskaming to North Bay, I don't know what number it is,
okay.
but because I used to go up, because Liz's family, my
Right. She's
ex-wife,
from up there.
her mother is born and raised in Temiskaming, so they have a cottage up there.
Incidentally, it's pronounced Temiskaming.
Yeah, Temiskaming, that's right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. If she was here, she'd give me crap for probably pronouncing it
For being
incorrectly.
such an Anglo.
See, such an Anglo, absolutely. But that Mattawa cutoff, I think I could find out in a blink of an eye, but I think it's largely paved now. But it was all dirt.
Oh, wow, I'm sure it
you know,
is.
but I think it's mostly paved now. But that's quite the road.
Yeah. Well,
quite
I
cool.
tell you, I have a great, that whole area has always been one of my favorite spots.
Yeah.
Right? My
Yeah.
favorite spots. First place I ever had a club sandwich.
Yeah?
Valois on the highway in Mattawa.
Really?
Yeah, when I was a kid. I was just a little kid. And now when we were kids, we would travel from Sudbury to Ottawa to visit my grandparents, right?
Yeah.
Okay, or stop in Ottawa and then go to Nova Scotia to see my other family, right? So, but we would always drive that road, and we were like 4 or 5 times a year, and we would drive by
Wow.
and we'd see it. We never stopped.
Yeah.
We would never stop because 6 kids and a
Yeah.
dog in the car. There was no getting out.
No.
Like that was. You were driving as far. My mom had sandwiches.
Yeah.
Okay. And cigarette smoke. Sandwiches and cigarette smoke.
all you need.
Filled the car.
Yeah.
Okay. The odd gassy excretion. Okay. But that was it, right? And my dog, my little sister used to sleep on the back deck.
Really?
Under the window.
Yeah.
Like, no seatbelts.
No seatbelts.
No, it was none of
So
that.
Somehow you made it every single time.
Well, this is the
Isn't that
thing.
an amazing thing,
Yeah,
eh?
But so one time though, we're driving, and my grandparents, they were going to come up to Sudbury with us on this trip, and so my grandparents said, well, we'll take Chris. Chris can come with us. So I sat in the middle between my grandma and grandpa, driving up there, and they were older. They stopped at Valois.
Oh yeah.
Right? They stopped, and I went inside, and it was just like, and it's beautiful, right? If you're looking over like the water and everything. Have you ever been inside? You got to do. Oh, you got to do that. It's one of the and I know it's run down now and stuff but it's an awesome spot, and it looks over the water, and the ceilings are low. Like it's just got feeling. You know?
Really? Eh?
And I'm sitting there. And my grandparents said, okay, well, we're going to have a club sandwich. And I didn't know what this was. Like there's no peanut butter, no bologna? Like, what, And so my grandmother said, well, she orders the club sandwich, and she gives me some of the club sandwich with French fries, which, by the way, they were the greatest fries in the history of the world up to that point in my life, right?
Yeah.
Okay? Because the only fries I had were McCain's from the oven.
Yep.
Like, we didn't have, we weren't going to the chip wagon.
No.
You know what I mean? In those days.
Yeah.
But we had these French fries, which were just amazing. And this club sandwich. And I've been hooked on club sandwiches ever since. I love the club sandwich.
I love club sandwiches. Cheese instead of tomato. On white.
So there you go. Anyways, you know what? I digressed.
You digress, but you know
Okay.
what? If you're talking about Mattawa, and we're way off
Yeah.
wherever we were, but you can't not talk about Mattawa. It's about mentioning Big Joe Muffera.
Paddled into Ottawa, all the way from Ottawa in just one day.
Just one day.
Hey! On the River Ottawa, the best man they ever saw was Big Joe Muffera, the old folks say. Come and listen and I'll tell you what the old folks say.
That's all I know.
Oh, really?
I
Well, he
know
said Big Joe had an old pet frog who
Yeah.
was bigger than a horse, and he barked like a dog. And the only thing quicker than a train upon the track was Big Joe riding on that bullfog's back.
That's good.
Yeah,
What's the Smith
I know
Falls
that.
line? There's a line there where he fights everybody.
Well, that's actually in Pembroke, the Pembroke Club, where the boot marks and there's
Yeah, that's it.
Club.
Yeah,
Pembroke Club,
yeah.
We'll do that another time. So one of these days, what
We
I mean?
will. We'll close the show.
We'll get it.
Maybe Christmas. It's a good Christmas song.
It is. You know what? It's always a good thing. It's you know what the number one Christmas song is right now in the UK?
Let me think.
Fairy Tale in New York. Do you know that
Oh,
one?
because
By
of
the
Shane
Pogues?
McGowan?
Because of Shane McGowan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's a big song, and so I've been playing it, right? And it's it reminds you, okay, I always like the song, but it's not exactly a cheery Christmas.
No,
song.
no.
A cheery Christmas song, okay? And so the kids, I was like,
Because Christmas is in the song,
right.
It's like Die Hard. Is it a Christmas movie or not?
Die Hard's absolutely a Christmas movie.
1,000% it is.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing about Fairy Tale in New York.
Yeah. Well, yes, it is. But it's about, you know what? Fairy Tale in New York, in my opinion, is about the dreams and aspirations that we have both at Christmas time but for our lives, right?
Yeah.
That don't always work out.
Yeah.
I coming from an Irish Catholic alcoholic background.
Yeah.
Okay. Christmas didn't always work out. So
Yeah.
what else are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about some stuff.
Yeah.
Ask Liam. We should do that.
We should.
We should do. We're going to do an Ask
Yeah.
Liam. So we'll be right back. We'll do an Ask Liam. Hey, and welcome to the segment we like to call Ask Liam. And so today I'm going to ask Liam, in light of all the, we've been talking about penalties.
Yeah.
We've been talking about
Yeah.
Branson and getting a litany of
Columbus, Florida game.
Yeah,
and
that
the Ottawa,
game.
Detroit game.
Okay,
Yeah.
getting all these penalties and what is the
Fighting's up, as you correctly stated. And
what's the most penalties within a game, and who was the most penalized player within that game?
I like to answer this at shows because I tell people that a hockey game is 60 minutes.
Right.
Now you can have an overtime, which is 5 minutes. So it can go 65 minutes, which many games do. And the NHL record for most penalty minutes by one player in one game is 67 minutes. He got more minutes and penalties than there was in the game. There was no overtime in 1979 when a Sudbury boy, Randy Holt,
okay.
and his brother Gary, who played
Yeah.
in the NHL as well, who Goldie fought, but in junior. But Randy Holt, March 11, 1979, Los Angeles Kings against the Philadelphia Flyers, one of the wildest brawls in hockey history. And Randy ended up with 67 minutes. And so the thread that I was on late last night, early this morning, that was a spawn of what happened on what you just said.
Yeah.
Was people were trying to figure out what in God's name. Well, he got 3 game misconducts.
Right. Well, so
Because every time he fought, he was given a misconduct, and then they started tacking on game misconducts, because they wanted him to get suspended for this brawl.
Right.
I will say this: in that fight, the main event is Randy and Paul Holmgren, and Paul Holmgren's a lefty, and Randy Holt is right-handed, and that fight should be required viewing in schools.
It is. And there's a lot of required viewing.
I know. Well, at least once a show, I'll come up with something. And
Did he know he was a southpaw before he got into it?
I'm not sure. My guess is Randy probably did. He was in the NHL a few years at that point. And now Holmgren was a couple years younger. So to your point, he may not have. But Randy Holt backed down from nothing.
Yeah.
So he was fearless. And you know this, Chris. The fights in the 70s and 80s, there wasn't a lot of defense. There wasn't guys positioning. What really happened here, this thing was started a week or two ahead by Ken Linsman.
Okay.
Who was with the Flyers
Yeah.
and was very quickly making a reputation as one of the biggest shit disturbers, dirty players. And it was retaliation really for the way he was playing. Holt got a hold of him in the corner, and the bench is emptied. Guys had to come to Ken Linsman. This is before, obviously, his time at Edmonton, where he scored the first ever Cup-winning goal in Edmonton Oilers history, 1984. His time in Boston,
That's right.
where he played very effectively as a Bruin. And man, he was effective everywhere he played.
Yeah, good
Even
hockey
with
player.
Kingston, his whole family.
Yeah.
All the boys played. All the boys were solid. Ken being obviously the best. But that brawl was a byproduct of that, and Randy Holt ended up with 67 minutes. Now, I believe Goodbranson got 29 minutes the other day, just to give you a small idea of how far behind he was.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have the Columbus record. It's held by a guy named Duvie. Durval was his real name, Westcott. I don't know if you remember him or not.
No.
He signed as a free agent in Columbus in the early 2000s. He played about 150 games, 170 games.
Oh, that's great.
Big, tough character, absolutely. There is a pure enforcer.
Yeah.
went over to Europe, played a bunch of games overseas, including in Russia. He ended up on Dynamo Minsk, and they won the Spengler Cup in 2009. He was on the roster.
Really?
I digress. Anyway, Goodbranson is a couple minutes. Duvey had a 31-minute game, I believe, in 06. Again, dwarfed by Randy. In fact, there's 8 guys, I believe, including one guy twice, Reed Lowe at St. Louis. People will remember him. Again, just a pure enforcer who had 2 games of over 50 minutes and penalties. But Randy Holtz got the all-time mark at 67. And to me, I like when I get the question at shows because I tell people, well, you know how long the game is, right? 60 minutes, now 65 in overtime. You got more minutes than there is in the actual game. So there you go. There's your Ask Liam for this week.
Oh, that's good. Okay, welcome back. We're going to do This Week in Hockey History with Liam McGuire.
Hello, Canada.
Lafleur coming out rather gingerly. Back to Lafleur. Oh!
Shoots. He scores!
This Week in Hockey History. So, Liam, this is the today. We're starting today, December 11th,
right
through to the 16th, I guess, or 17th.
Well,
December
17th.
17th. Yeah, you're right. Well, whatever.
No, I guess it could go to the 18th. I guess technically
we could.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this week in
the
hockey,
16th. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this week in hockey history, what's going on?
I'm only going to the 15th. It's getting to the point, Chris. It's tough, but I'm the man for the job. And anyways, I've singled out a couple things. I really kind of more focusing on the day we tape, which is today happens to be the 11th. But Tom Blayden, defenseman of the Philadelphia Flyers in the 1970s, he was on their Cup winners in 74 and 75. Went to the finals with them in 76. He was in their top 4D, Western Canadian guy. On this day in 1977, the Philadelphia Flyers pounded the Cleveland Barons. I believe it was 11-1. Tom Blayden got 8 points. Okay, got 4 goals and 4 assists. First defenseman in NHL history, since tied by Paul Coffey.
Okay.
Even Bobby Orr didn't do this. Eddie Shore, no Doug Harvey, nobody else. So he set a record at the time, since tied by Paul Coffey, most points in one game. But the other thing he did on this date in 77, in that game beating Cleveland, was he was plus 10 in the game, which is an NHL record.
Is it really?
Yeah. Nobody else. The closest is Theo Fleury, plus 9.
Okay.
He's got the second highest. So I love that because...
Well, it's somebody you don't even know.
This is it. It isn't something that was set by Howe or Rocket or Shore or Gretzky or Lemieux. Tom Blayden. Not to take anything away from him. The guy's a Stanley Cup winner, finalist, and the whole 9 yards. And had a very solid NHL career. But the rest of the season in Philadelphia, he had 27 points. The rest of the season. He got 8 in one night. So I love it for that.
I'm thinking he got lucky that night when he got home.
He may very well have.
Because I think that's if there's anything that would make your wife want to bake you a cake or something.
Well, you think a little something.
Yeah.
A little something for the effort.
Yeah, exactly.
How about a little something for the effort?
Exactly, a pie. Maybe
Maybe a pie.
Apple.
Something.
Anyway, something like that.
December 11, 77. I like that one. I like that one a lot. Gary Bettman got his job in the NHL December 11, 92. He didn't start until February.
It was a dark day.
I knew that was coming.
No, so here's a question I'm going to ask about this. So I say it was a dark day. And for years, I didn't like Gary Bettman.
Yeah.
Okay. I've come to actually respect what he's been able to do for the game in some ways.
Yeah.
And for, you know what I mean? But there is something that is abrasive and upsetting about the guy. I think he knows hockey far better than he did back in the day.
Well, there's no question. We're talking 31 years. He's obviously picked up a couple things. I mean, he didn't know, that's a famous story. He didn't know who Marc Messier was in that first meeting back in 92. Or 93. Because he got hired on this day, December 11, 92. He started in February of 93. They changed the wording to commissioner from president. And
Ziegler was before him, right? It was just Ziegler, or who was it before?
No, it was Gil the Thrill Stein.
Right.
He
was a short-term...
summarily dismissed because he orchestrated his induction into the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And once that was discovered, they punted his ass. And the worst thing about him is he brought the instigator rule in. And when he brought it in, it was an automatic game misconduct. And the very first change, this is the thing about Gary Bettman. The very first thing Gary Bettman did when he got in office,
To change that?
changed the rule. Said you will get the instigator, you'll get the 2, you'll get your major, but you're going to get 10 minutes. You're not going to get kicked out.
Yeah.
You stay in the game. You're going to serve 17, but you're not getting tossed. And I mean, me personally, right out of the way, he had my full support.
He had you at hello?
He had me at a low. I'm rescinding the automatic game misconduct for the
That's
instigator. Right. Thank you. And yeah, I mean, he is what he is. But this is anyway. You can go down the whole rabbit hole with this stuff about the bogus BS thinking he's anti-Canadian when there is some semblance to him not being happy in certain elements. I think when Atlanta moved to Winnipeg and he did the press conference, he looked like someone shot his dog. There's no doubt that day he was terribly disappointed, I think, to lose Atlanta for a second time.
Right.
Even though the first time wasn't on his watch.
Right.
But this was on him. And he wasn't happy.
But here's the thing. You have to ask yourself, are these markets like Atlanta NHL markets? Yes, it's a big TV market. Yes, there's massive population. But they don't have enough core Northerners. And I'm not just saying Canadians.
Yeah.
Okay, they don't have enough core Northerners to keep that alive. Because you've got to have some like you go to the Carolinas, for example. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Canadians in the Carolinas. Nortel had facilities in Raleigh.
Yeah.
There are thousands of Canadians, my cousin included, who went down there and stayed there and have season tickets to the Hurricanes.
Yeah, but
and are part of that thing. Plus, you have a lot of northern people who went to the Carolinas.
Yeah.
But nobody's saying, I want to go to Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta is... Have you ever been to Atlanta?
No.
Outside of the Coca-Cola headquarters and museum,
Yeah.
Atlanta's a scary place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. Like it is...
Well, you hear that about so many. Like, you can't go out and walk around Chicago, you're allegedly. You can't, like these cities. I do a gig in Philly, in South Philly every March, and a big warehouse has been converted into an entertainment complex, and IMC there every March. And we're told specifically by Brad Marsh that you're not walking anywhere when you leave here. Like, you get transportation out of here. You're not walking. I mean, there's all sorts of these areas, I think, in the States, and... I don't know. Look, on a Friday night, if you're walking from Cars to North Gore, you could be in trouble, But...
Well, in what? In what way? Like, this is the thing.
I'm kidding.
That's what I was just thinking.
kidding.
Because Friday night had. Oh, by the way, we're going to point this. I want to say this because even though we're not. This is in no way, shape, or form an endorsement or an advertisement or anything like that. But you know what I was really happy with? The fact that you were using responsible choice.
To get home.
To get home.
Yeah.
So when you have a few, if you're going to a Christmas party, you're having a few.
Yeah.
You should use responsible choice. They'll get you home, get your car home.
Absolutely.
That whole thing.
Yeah.
And that way it's safe. But I was thinking.
By the way, if you're going to mention that, I got to mention Mike Minot, and I'll bring us to the timestamp on this so he can see it, because that's courtesy of him. Minot Construction. They do a ton in the city, not just what he does for his business. But he's a very generous man, and he facilitated that for me. So thank you, Mike. And I just want to say, you're going to bring up Responsible Choice, which is Darren and his company. They do a great job. I still think I may be the only guy to use them twice in one night, but...
that's called irresponsible choice.
It was irresponsible choice, exactly. Yeah. That's just got to be a record of some sort. But, I mean, I wasn't driving.
Well, and that's the important thing.
Yeah.
But I was thinking... that it's a long walk, and my concern would be somebody falling into the ditch, and
from Cars to North Gore.
That's right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or from my place to Osgood, right? Like, okay, falling into the ditch, and we find them the next morning, and they froze to death.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like grandma got run over by a reindeer. Right? That kind of situation. Right. I'm not worried about crime.
No.
I mean, listen. Actually, my bigger concern was someone would stop, want to pick you up, and you'd end up going to some other bar with them.
Yes,
right?
that's probably the most likely
Someone's
thing would
shed in Osgood having a drink. I'm not saying that there are places in
Terry
Osgood
Hill.
that you can go.
Don't want to mention any names.
No names, but anyway, you got my point. Right?
I get your point.
So anyway, I didn't want to mention responsible choice, and it's good. It's good.
Well, we're at that time of year.
Yeah,
where
it is.
People should And I think the overwhelming majority of people are pretty smart about it today.
Oh,
but
I
sadly,
think
you can
so.
still read about it every week. There's going to be impaired charges, and people are going to drive impaired, and it's unfortunate because of the carnage that's been caused in our lifetime on the road from drunk driving. So, for
Well, and
God's
it's not
sake,
just drunk driving
geez.
too, eh? There's a lot of pot smoking driving.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, impaired driving.
Yeah, impaired driving of some sort. Yeah, but that absolutely. Well, anyway, so we move on from that.
Yeah.
We're moving on from that.
This day, yeah, so
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, I mean, Gary Bettman, December 11, 92. If you're a Flyer fan, again, I talked about Tom Blayton, December 11, 77. Kate Smith was a staple part of God Bless America until they found something she sang in 1933 was racist, so they had to boot her out. But they can't play the song anymore at all with Lauren Hart. Used to be one of the most amazing duos. Kate on the video, Lauren live. Just incredible, but they can't do it anymore. But Kate Smith started for the Flyers on December 11, 69, which was such a tradition for so long.
Right.
And the only other things I had, Chris, were December 15. I wanted to give a shout out to the biggest, most important buildings in NHL history. Madison Square Garden opened on December 15, 1925.
Okay.
At that time, home to the New York Americans, not the Rangers.
Okay.
Home to New York Americans. Their first game was against the Canadians. First goal actually was scored by an American hockey team player, not an American by birth, Shorty Green, but they lost the game to the Habs 3-1. And then 4 years later, the Chicago Stadium,
Okay, the original.
Chicago
Yeah.
Stadium opened December 15, 29, and they played the Pittsburgh Pirates. I know it's a team most people haven't heard of. This is an NHL game. Chicago won 3-1. Vic Ripley, believe it or not, had 2 goals, and and I like that. Those are good historical. Those buildings were so significant in NHL history. In Canada, got the Forum and Maple Leaf Gardens, but those 2 buildings, along with the Olympia. The Olympia closed on this date in '79.
Okay, so I was going to ask you, because that is the Olympia was the big in my
Well, because
what
you
I can call
had Howe and Lindsay and
that's right.
Delvecchio. And,
No, but it was also where Joe Louis had fought.
Yeah.
It was where, you know what I mean. There was a lot of things that went on.
which ironically was the name of the
the name
rink.
of the new rink, but it was where it was a big, and it was a pretty imposing like building, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when you have like, I never liked Maple Leaf Gardens. I'll be honest with you. I never liked it. I never thought it had any character. It was just very plain.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, and the Forum, to be honest with you, my favorite part of the Forum,
Hot dogs.
steamed hot dogs.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to
Steamed
say
hot
that.
dog.
To me, well, the Forum was magical, obviously as a Hab fan, but it was impossible to go in there. I mean, I had nothing but, standing room behind the Blues my first 6-7 years of going anyway. So all you can see is the banners. Like that's imposing. You got 24 banners, at the time less, but I started going in the late 70s, so they were adding to that total.
Yeah.
But just a sea of banners, the retired sweaters, the Forum, you knew what had gone on there, and it was a much different atmosphere. You had Dutchie, the guy with the megaphone there in the crowd. You had Claude Mouton, although Toronto had Paul Morris, so that was equivalent.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, Maple Leaf Gardens to me was much more bland than the Forum. But I think that's as much to do with the people who were there, French Canadians.
Well, I mean, certainly the French Canadians have a little more flair than what we would consider the upper Canadians in Toronto.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
but
no doubt about it. Go to a game in Montreal even today, and you're going to see the difference.
Well, listen, go to a game. So if you go to the games, okay, and this is the irony: you go to a game in Toronto, and none of the Toronto fans that come to Ottawa are at that game.
Right.
They're not. They can't go in Toronto, and
Right.
so Toronto is a very subdued crowd as well. Not as subdued as an Ottawa. You go to like an Ottawa, let's say Columbus game, because there's nobody from Columbus. It's just Ottawa people there. You could literally like hear a pin drop half the time during the game.
Oh yeah.
It is
Well, Darcy
so
Tucker
quiet.
nicknamed Ottawa the Coffin.
Yeah.
The arena.
Yeah.
I mean, they have their moments. Ottawa fans, by and large, I know they can be very passionate.
Yeah.
Extremely passionate at times. And there's been some phenomenal hockey memories made here. However, the loudest I ever heard that building was in 2009 in the World Juniors when Everly scored.
Yeah.
To tie it up against the Russians with 5.4 seconds to go on that pass from Tavares. I mean, that was insane. I'll never forget, because I was down the low. I was sitting with Roy Malacre, the president of the team, We were in the CBC Hockey Night in Canada booth. Kelly Rudy was there, all the guys, and when Eberle scored, there was this guy obviously had to be hammered out of his mind. So we're in the lower level in the suites there,
Yeah.
and he was jumping out of a suite across the short distance
Into
hallway
that next suite?
into the next suite, and he was just looking for women to
kiss?
to hug and kiss. And he'd run up, and everybody was so excited, right?
Yeah.
And you know, he wasn't being like crazy nuts about it,
Yeah.
but he was being very like, my God, what a moment! Let's hug it out, you know. And he's hugging, and he's kissing him, and picking him up, and then you put him down. Boom, on to the next one. Into the next one, looking around. I watched him go through about 3 or 4 suites all the way down.
And then
It's
now
hilarious.
today he'd be arrested.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody would stop and probably.
Yeah.
Who knows?
That
Was 2009. That's sad to say if that would be the case, but I mean, Ottawa. Look, you had a different clientele probably in there.
Absolutely. Oh,
You know,
it was. It was
in the World Juniors.
a younger
Younger
clientele.
crowd,
Younger
a little bit
clientele.
more unabashed. I mean,
Yeah.
I went to every game that was in the building that year. I worked the 2009 World Juniors for IBM. They were one of the sponsors. They
Okay.
hired me, and because of that, I got to go out west in 2010. I worked Regina and Saskatoon the next year, which was fantastic. And yeah, you're right. I mean, it was.
But I'm gonna say-
crowd was different in junior.
I'm going to tell you this. I went to a game in Ottawa a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Okay, with my buddy John.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're there and we're watching the game, and so there's these kids who were beside. It turned out we were like a bunch of people from Osgood were around us.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so this kid who was from and him and his buddy had come out, and they had obviously they had splurged. Okay?
Had a few pints.
They had a few.
Yeah.
Okay. And then so we were where we were sitting. So then we left and we'd go to the bar
Yeah.
in the intermission, have
Yeah.
a couple, and go back. And
Yeah.
Anyway, so we got talking to them next thing, and this guy's having a great time. He's dancing and he's having a good time and everything like that. So after the second period intermission, coming back and we get down and he's coming over and he trips over me because he has to crawl over me. Okay. Security's right there. They fucking oust the guy.
Yeah.
And John and I were talking about like this, and before this, we had said, man, the Sens need to hire this guy to come to every game because he was so fun and he was having a good time. He wasn't being rude. He was just being fun. He was cheering, and he was he had a few, okay. And so we didn't even know this guy.
Yeah.
But
how do you know he was from Osgood?
Well, because he said something to us.
Oh.
Right, because we had met them in the bar. He bought us a couple drinks, right? Okay. And,
I've lived in Osgood for 24 years.
Yeah, no. He knows you. You'll know who the guy is. I'll tell you who it is off screen.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, so we go to the security. John and I both went up and said, listen, like we don't know the guy. We're not with him, but he hasn't done anything wrong. Like I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And they said, well, he's had too many. I said, well, I think there's a lot of people who've had too many. He's not. Anyways.
Well, because he fell. That's it.
Well, but he didn't even fall. But the thing is that honestly, you get these people, okay, who don't want it to be any more than.
No, you're right. You're
this,
right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you have to have.
It's a government town still, Chris. Let's be honest. It is. It's a government town.
Well, you know what? If there's
That's
one
why Darcy
message-
Tucker nicknamed it the coffin. They have their passion. They can get crazy. They can get loud. They are very proud. They want the Sens to do well, but I've said for years, the very second the Senators are eliminated from the playoffs, which was probably going to happen again this year for the 7th year in a row, sometime in mid-April. It'll be number one topic of conversation for 4 to 8 hours, and then it's time to open up the cottage.
Yeah. Well,
that's it.
Yeah.
It's the way it rolls here. So
That is true.
It's unfortunate that guy got kicked out.
I was not happy
too bad.
about it. Okay, you know what we're going to talk about now? The surging Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, we can finish on that note if you want, because I know we've been on forever.
Yeah.
But it's a good one to finish on because right now they're the hottest team in the NHL.
Yeah.
And what I like about it, Chris, is you and I have had multiple conversations since the start of this season about them because they were. I don't know if I don't have the stats, but they were, I think, the consensus pick by a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely.
In the mainstream world anyway, let alone just people going online saying, I think this is their year. And then they came out of the gate like they were the Hindenburg.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And now I'm watching everybody trying to figure it out. Guys, it's not rocket science. Connor McDavid, hello. He was hurt. He was supposed to be out for weeks. He came back and played the outdoor game. He played sensational, and then I believe he re-hurt himself in that game, but not enough to take himself out of the lineup, and he spent the next 10 games trying to limp his way through on the ice. And I watch every minute that they play. And I told you this on the show, and you may have even seen it yourself. I told you, watch how he goes off the ice, how he has to put his hands on the boards to lift this leg.
Oh, I know.
The groin area, upper leg area, which suffered the initial injury, and we never were told exactly what it was.
They won't, right?
And there were moments that he could absolutely blister down the ice still, but he didn't have that same little level. Yeah, that's exactly the fluidness, the maneuverability. Now it is back, with a vengeance. And, his point totals are reflective of that. Yeah. I mean, he was back around like 96th in scoring, like at the start of this streak.
Right.
And now he's tied for 8th.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think that it was probably the best thing that ever happened to Edmonton. Okay, the adversity in the early part of the season.
Except it cost you Jay Woodcroft, and it wasn't his fault.
No,
I don't believe.
You're right. You're right.
It hinges on one guy. You can't take out. It's like Ottawa right now. There's with the configuration of games and everything. You lose Shane Pinto. Everything that happened there.
Yeah.
You got Shabbat out. You know
what? I tell you, I'd be shopping Shabbat. But no one's going to want a injury-prone big-ticket
Probably
item.
not. But at the end of the day, minute cruncher, top 4 guy, and I totally agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. But fact is that his injuries have contributed. You can't take these guys out of your starting lineup and not have it be a factor.
Well, and you can't reinsert them, okay, and have it not be a factor as well. Like it's not like he's the kind of guy who you could insert in the lineup and he doesn't have an effect on the game.
You know who has had an effect on the game since being reinserted, ironically, is a very young man named Ridley Gregg.
Yeah.
Ridley Gregg.
Great, eh?
Oh, Jesus, I love the guy. I mean, he's fast becoming one of my favorite sends. I mean, Claude Giroux, because I know him personally. Brady, who I think is just overall, I just love the guy's overall body of work. I'm a huge fan. I don't care if he goes a couple games without points. I don't care. He will not suffer a loss gladly.
Right.
He's going to extract a pound of flesh, and I love that. And he's just a beauty. The guy's a beauty. Yeah. And there's a few other guys. Chikrin, obviously, too.
Oh,
I know his dad very well.
Chikrin is a rock star.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think, I'll be honest, I didn't, when he came here, I was like,
oh my God, I couldn't believe it when I heard the news. I thought, oh, what a steal! I can't believe you got Jacob Chikrin.
But I didn't get that. I didn't know that until I started watching him play here.
Oh yeah.
And it's like this he's
a guy in Arizona last year. I mean, it's just he's had injury issues, and so far this year he's been pretty healthy.
Yeah, we started off injured in the season, but yeah.
But I mean, he had problems.
I had no idea he was as good as he is. Yeah. And I look at that, and I would say that the defensive core of the Sens has the potential to be the greatest 6-man tandem, or you know what I mean, in the league if they can get their defensive zone play up. And I think that Jacques Martin's going to do that. But as I say that because I love these kids. They're playing so good.
Well, you got everybody in the lineup because I think Zub is incredibly dependable.
Oh, he's the rock.
I agree, though. Like Shabbat is a work in progress, and at the end of the day, when they do become a playoff team again, and who knows? I mean, they could pull off a hamburger run here, but you're getting almost to that point where it's because the games in hand are so skewed, right? But the thing is, Chris, as you well know,
they're not far off.
Well, they're 9 points out. You're 9 points out. So but they've got 4 games in hand on the 2 wildcard teams. The problem is, even you win those 4 games, you're still going to be a point back of both of them.
Right, but
so
you're in the running.
Well, let's put it this way, okay? They've got 7 games between now and Christmas.
Yeah.
2 at home and 5 on the road. Okay.
Oh, I thought it was 1 at home.
No, I think it's 2. I believe they've got. I think it. I could be wrong.
Okay.
I thought it was 2 at home. I think there's 1 here at home
this
against.
week.
Yeah.
Tonight.
What day is today?
Monday.
Are they playing tonight?
I think it's Monday.
No, I don't think they play
Oh,
tonight.
no, maybe it's Tuesday.
Yeah,
It's Tuesday.
I don't think they play tonight.
And then
So-
they go on the road.
Yeah, on the road for 5, and then they're back home for 1 against Pittsburgh at home,
okay.
I believe.
Oh, okay.
So I think they've got 2. Anyways, I believe they've got 7 games between now and Christmas. 14 points on the table.
Okay.
I mean, you got to get 11.
Yeah.
I think. You can't get less than that, man. You got 9 points to make up here.
Yeah.
Actually, you got
No,
10.
yeah.
9's just to get.
Yeah,
You know,
to get
and
to the point.
the problem is you're winning, like, your games in hand don't get you there even if you win those. So
Right.
you need to win more than the other teams and then get over the team's head. It's
Right.
going to be
Well, they
a
need to
very
go on- yeah.
daunting task
They
here.
de- they
the
need to
run
go on
you've
a
got to
run.
go on is they're going to need Chikrin. And you're going to need Sanderson, and you're going to need Zub, and you're going to need these guys back
Well, the
there.
good news is they won't have anybody playing in the All-Star game. I'm just kidding.
Everybody's got to send somebody.
Yeah, I know.
Obviously,
I know.
Stutzla.
Yeah,
Stutzel will
for
get
sure.
the nod, and he'll go. And I mean, yeah, he's a beauty talent. He's still there's elements of his game. There's no question he's unbelievable talent.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable
Yeah.
talent. But there's elements of his game. He's still got to get a level of maturity at, and but you got the best mentor there with Claude Giroux for that, and
Do you know what?
they'll
I'll tell
work
you,
through it. It's-
I have to say, Claude Giroux is performing far better. I've been surprised by a lot of things. Like Chikrin, I was surprised with.
I wasn't
Giroux.
surprised by him at all.
Giroux,
But I watched him play.
I'm really surprised at how incredible
Yeah.
he is playing, not only for himself, but how incredible he's playing for the rest of the team. And you watch, he is a beautiful passer.
Phenomenal
Okay,
passer.
he is a
Yeah.
beautiful passer. Like I watch the guy and I go, wow. Like and then I mean he's got the best face-off record I think of anybody. He's not even a centerman for Christ's sake anymore.
Yeah, well, he
he's-
still takes a lot of draws. But
He takes a lot of draws, but
but,
because he can win them.
Yeah.
Because he wins those, it's unbelievable. But he's not playing the position, which is fine. But he's out there, and you know what? He makes the other guys that he's playing with look better.
yeah,
And you know what? Who doesn't want to play with a guy like that?
no, yeah, you'd give your eye teeth if you're in the lineup to play with a guy like that. There's no doubt about it, and he's still contributing offensively. They've won 3 out of 4. The game they lost to Toronto, they vastly outplayed. Wall stole the game,
stole
as
the
we all
game,
know
for sure.
And we'll see how it goes. But they've dug a hole again. In a year in
Well,
which
I'm
this wasn't
optimistic.
supposed to be the case. So
I'm optimistic. But the only thing you know what I don't want? I don't want to see a first-round Boston-Ottawa Senators matchup. If Ottawa makes the playoffs,
no, I don't think you
You
would
know-
want to see that, even though they play the
I
Bruins
don't-
very well, though.
no,
as a
but,
Bruin
but
fan,
I
you're
don't.
saying that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to see that.
Oh, yeah,
what
you're
I
saying
like
that
to
as a
see-
Bruin fan.
I want to see them meet in the conference final.
Yeah.
Right? I don't
Yeah.
mind that.
Hey.
And then I can,
Who
But I
knows?
mean, I'm both. Like,
Yeah.
it's funny because someone said to me, like, how come you're not? And I am a Sens fan too. It's and they were giving me like kind of the gears about still being a Boston fan.
Yeah.
Right. And
I think you didn't introduce him to me then.
no, but it was like, and I kind of get what they're saying, okay, but how do you change a lifetime of?
You can't. How can you? When the Sens come back, play their first game, I'm 33. What are you gonna do? Hit a switch and all of a sudden go Ottawa? I mean,
Yeah.
you can't.
Yeah.
I mean, the Habs are in my blood, man. The building, the forum, the city. I was born in Montreal. Everything. I moved here. I'm 7. The closest NHL team is the Habs.
Yeah.
Who, and then all of a sudden, just because Ottawa gets a team, I never understood that. To me,
You know
it
what?
reflects more of just really what level of fan you were.
And this is the thing.
If you've left a team to go and you were in your 30s or older, and all just because they're hometown, I would never hold that against anybody who stayed loyal like you are to Boston. How can you grow up in the Bobby Orr era and leave that team? How could you?
I can't. Well, that's my problem.
could
I
you?
can't.
There's no
Okay.
way.
All right. Well,
I respect that.
But I was getting grief, and I was feeling kind of like, how do I do,
Yeah.
But I will say this for all of the viewers out there, you've heard Liam's tragic story as a youngster being a Habs fan, okay, and that whole thing. Your dollars can help rehabilitate this young man.
It just requires a bit of drinking, just a little
Okay?
bit more.
And maybe we can actually get him away from the
Just
Habs.
gotta pick up my bar tab.
Yeah.
Just for one
So,
night.
Yeah, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. It's like, yeah, that was the... Okay, listen, that's the end of this week.
Yeah.
We are done. We're finished. We're through. Now, next week... Well, it's
empty. That's a sign.
That's
Yeah,
the sign.
that's the sign.
You know what?
Never fails.
So just so you know, George Burns used to smoke cigars
Yeah.
on stage.
Yeah.
Right? Shitty cigars.
Okay.
Okay? But the cigar
Yeah.
timed his act. So he knew how long it took for the cigar to, because he never smoked a lot. He'd take a couple smokes here and there, but he timed how long it would take.
Like
so
it.
if he had to do 20 minutes,
Yeah.
he knew when 20 minutes was by looking at his cigar.
Ah.
And you people say, you'll see he looks at his cigar. If you ever watch old stuff, he looks at his cigar. And they were not like the expensive good cigars. He smoked those ones because they burned better. They never went out. A good cigar, if you're not active,
Yeah.
is going to go out, right?
Okay, I've never smoked
yeah.
a cigar, so I don't know.
You know, it can
Yeah.
it can go out. So a shitty cigar, which is a little dry and everything like that, it will burn longer. Anyway, that's so you know what?
I
You're
cradle
the-
this because
you're
I know we're going,
You're
you know.
the George Burns of
Yeah,
of
this is-
hockey commentary.
This is it, offside. And with Hawes and McGuire and Liam drinks a pint and then the show's over.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. That's how it works.
Although there was one time I went and got a second pint, remember?
Well, you know what? More than one time.
Oh.
Maybe. We weren't even filming. Actually, there's sometimes when Liam goes last. So
That's true.
Before we leave, I just want to say, what is your new favorite Irish whiskey now?
Oh, well, it's not ahead of Jameson's 18
Oh,
for sure.
okay.
But
So
what we had at your party here, was it
Redbreast.
Redbreast
Yeah.
was outstanding.
Isn't it?
Absolutely outstanding drink to finish off your fabulous Christmas party. By the way, we met your
That's right.
your friend. We should give him a shout out.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Well, best shout out. Even though he's drinking I'm still drinking the Redneck Lager. And by the way, I should say it's Logger, like you know, forestry lager.
Yeah. I told him there at your party. Nice guy, by the way.
Yeah, he is. He's
Yeah.
a super guy.
That I love the name of the beer and obviously thanks to Hosey and Brown as well.
That's right.
For,
For all of our sponsors,
Yeah.
and for all of our future sponsors.
Yeah.
Because someday we will have more sponsors.
Yeah.
And we'll take this. We're going global. We're going.
We're going to start adding some guests, I think.
We
you
are.
want to do.
So we're going to be. So we're adding guests. We're going to have segments where we're going to have interviews with celebrity, or what do you call it? Celebrities? Yeah. Celebrity.
Yeah,
Celebrity guests. Celebrity
Yeah.
guests. Hockey celebrities. Hockey related.
celebrities.
Hockey celebrities. And
About my good friend Andy Oliver suggested. How about Ron Dugay and Sarah Paling?
oh, listen. Are you kidding?
No.
We can listen. If we could,
I bet
do
you
that,
Ron would do it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, here's the thing. So I got a thing for Ron Dugay because he was a
Sudbury boy.
right?
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, he was the star of
Yeah.
the Sudbury Wolves, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so followed Dugay's career because of that.
Yeah.
Okay, and of course his choice of women was exquisite.
Yeah, we talked about
Okay.
that last
All
show.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
Fair.
now knowing that he's with Sarah Palin, who, you know, I'll tell you, she's an attractive lady, but she's no slouch. Like I gotta say this, like, you know, she took a lot of grief and she did it with you know, a significant element of class too. She
Yeah.
took you take a lot of beating. Like I don't know, I don't know that I would handle it as well as she has handled everything that has been thrown at her throughout. So yeah, you know what? I'm in for that. So yes, Ron Dugay, Sarah Palin coming up on Offside with Hawes McGuire. I'm Hawes.
I'm McGuire. G'day.